All right, I'm going to continue on. What I'd like you to do, I should have had you do this before the break. It's no big thing. But where we've got this home page here, you may or may not remember, but virtually everything that you put into Bootstrap goes into what's called a container. All right, we don't have a container right now. So we're just going to change all three of these pages. I'm going to do it like this. So div class equal container, and then put our ending div. Oops. Like that. And I want to do the same thing to the other pages. All right, I want those to be inside of containers as well. So I'm just going to copy this, save that, copy it, move this over here to my contact page, and then I'll have to change the message from home page to contact page. Save that, and then go over to my about page, and again, just replace that one. So if I did do that too fast, we just changed all three of our pages. So the index page now looks like this in the body that you see in blue right here. And the other two pages look the same, except instead of home page, the about says about page, and the contact says contact page. Again, we may end up doing something here and then changing it around a little bit later. And I'm not trying to confuse anybody, but I'm just going through the whole procedure the way that it's typically done. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we've got this main.handlebars file. All right, that was in here. If you remember, it's right there. But right now, there's nothing in it. Okay. So this is going to look a little screwy for right now, but I'd like us to do this. I'd like you to go back to the index file, okay? And I'd like you to grab everything that's in there and just copy it. Control A, Control C, however you do a copy, it doesn't matter. All right, and I'd like you to paste that into the main.handlebars file. Now, this is going to be our main file. All right, but a couple things about this. First of all, I don't want every page to have a title of stock app home. So for now, we haven't learned about how you can use variables in this, so that's okay. So we're just going to put stock app there, okay? And in here, what we'll want to replace this with is either the code that's in our index file or the code that's in our about or the code that's in our contact. All right, that's what we're going to want. And in order to do that, what we want to put in here, and I didn't make this syntax, it looks a little screwy, but we put in 3 curly braces, and then the word body, and then 3 curly braces. Remember that body, you may or may not have noticed that when we were back at the Express Handlebars page. That body is a placeholder. All right? Again, that body is a placeholder. Now, I'm going to, for lack of better words, kind of deviate from it. We're going to get to this in just a bit, but I wanted to show you something else first because it's kind of important. All right, so I'm going to go back to our server page here. We have a route right now, and you can see what happens. All right, we get the res.render, etc., and it's got home. That's all totally fine. All right, but what I want you to know is when we pass this stuff in like this, it's literally, this is an argument. Does that make sense to people? That's an argument that we're passing to the res method, and the res method is part of result. All right, but basically, for lack of better words, we're just telling it what we want it to render, but we can pass information in as well. All right, so I can come in here and I can do this. Why it always opens that stuff up, but it does. All right, so I can come in here and say something like this. So I can put in a curly brace, hit enter, and I can put in, as an example, I could put in first name, Jeff, comma, last name, Scott. If for some reason I wanted to go and pass my name into there. Now, that may not seem important, but what is important is rather than using hard-coded values like that, we can also go in and use variables. Why is that going to be important? Because what we're going to want to do eventually in here, what we're going to want to do is we're going to have our nav bar. We're going to use the simple nav bar that you get with Bootstrap. And on the right where it says search, you're going to be able to put in, if you know, like FB for Facebook, etc., Goog for Google, I think it's APPL for Apple, all that stuff. If you know their symbol, you're going to be able to put it in and get stock information. All right? That's why that's important, because, like I said, this is just passing it in like this. What we also could do, all right, and again, just so you see this, I'm going to erase this in just a minute, but what I'm saying is what we could do is we could say const first name equals Jeff, and then const last name equals Scott, and then I could say const full name equal, and then use my backticks and just put in $ first name space $ last name. All right, and the reason that that is important is if we do it like that, all right, then we can come back in here and basically just say, hey, what I want to pass, I make up a variable name here. So I'll just call it full name. And what I want to pass in is I don't even need those, the full name. So I can pass in information like that. That may not seem important now, but it'll be a little bit more important later as we go on running this thing and writing and running this thing. All right. In fact, let's try something, because I think this should work. I didn't try this before class, but this should work. And if it doesn't, then we'll have to see if we can debug it. All right. So I've got all this stuff right here. I'm going to go back into the home.handlebars file. Currently, there's nothing in there. All right. And I'm going to put, it doesn't matter what we put in. I'm just going to put in some real simple stuff. So I'll put an H1 tag in. Whoops, not one tag, an H1 tag. And I'm going to say this is the handlebars homepage. All right. Then underneath that, I'm going to attempt, just put them into a paragraph tag. It doesn't matter. Now, when you're actually using this, it's 2 curly braces, but I'm going to say full name and end it with 2 curly braces. All right. Now, I don't know about you, but the first time I looked at that, I thought that looks a little squirrely to me. All right, but I'm going to save this. All right, I just saved it, and hopefully, at least, if it didn't restart this, my server isn't running, so clear npm run dev. So start up the server if your server isn't running. Okay, this is always a good sign, because typically if you've got something wrong that the system doesn't understand, it's not even going to let you run the server. You're going to get an error message. All right. So I'm going to come back out here like we did before, and I'll go to my local host, :5000, and hit enter. All right. Oh, it didn't do what I thought it would do. It did it right too. Okay, we'll just hold off on the rest of that for right now. Now, you may or may not have left open, and if you didn't, it's fine. But I wanted to show you something. I'm going to go back to my GitHub homepage. Okay, and you've already seen this stuff before. All right, I made my new, let's see that here it says find a repository. What do we call that? Stock. There it is, stock app node. Okay, all right. You may or may not have noticed this before, but if you look up on the screen, you don't have to go to yours, but you can. Okay, we've got here HTTPS. We also have here, if I click this one, you see how that changes? All right. So I clicked here. That's the one that you see. Then I clicked here. All right. There is I think at least, some debate over which one of these is more secure. But what I want to show you is if you wanted to do that, how you could use SSH. All right. Which is Secure Socket Handler. All right. Now, the reason that this stuff becomes important is tomorrow, when we get this, hopefully when we get the first version of this done, we're going to push it out to the internet. All right. And once you push stuff out to the internet, you leave it open. I mean, let's face it, right now, nobody can do anything with your code because it's on your machine. Once we push it out to the internet, that's not really the case anymore. If somebody gets into your code, they could potentially do something they shouldn't do. All right. So what I'd like you to do is to go back to here. And again, this didn't work the way I thought it would. So we're just going to stop the server for now, and I'm going to clear the screen. All right. And what we're going to do first is, let me put in all the commands. So I'm going to type in mkdir and then a tilde /.ssh and hit enter. Okay. Now that just created a new directory in my project. It's like a .git, but it's a .ssh, Secure Socket Handler. Okay. It's a tilde, and again, the tilde is right next to the number 1 on your keys that are on the top of your keyboard. Now, you'll notice if I type in ls, now you don't have to do this, but if you look on the screen, if I type in ls, one of the things that it shows now, maybe it doesn't show it in here, but it'll show it, it should show it here. Come on, there we go. No, it's not showing it here either. We're gonna view it though. All right, just a second. So that should have created it. All right. Next, we can do a cd to /ss tilde /ssh.ssh. Now, what do I know? I know by looking at that folder exists. It would not have let me change to it. That's what CD is, change directory. It's like change folder. All right. So it let me do that. That's good. Now we're going to run a command in here, literally, that looks like this. It looks basically like what we just did, but we're going to leave the CD off. All right. So it's pretty much the same thing, except we're not doing a CD now. And I'm going to hit enter. Oh my goodness. Well, let's do this. ls is probably going to be empty, and it is. Unless I copied my notes wrong, but I didn't think I did. All right. This is what I wanted to have happen. Let me just show you. Okay. We'll get it to work by tomorrow. I'm not worried about it. I'll go back and check on my other set of notes. But what I wanted to have happen was once we get out here, if we go out, let's see, to settings, all right, there will be a setting over here that says SSH and GPG keys. Okay, we'll click that, and there's nothing in there right now, okay? But when I just ran that command that didn't work, I was attempting to have it generate a new SSH key for us. Once we get that done, we click in here. You don't have to give it a title, but you grab that SSH key, which is real big. It's going to be like 100 characters. And you paste it in there and you click Add SSH key. Then we can either do our stuff. After we do that, then we can either do our stuff, come on, back up, this way, or we can do it this way, which again, some people consider to be a more secure way of doing things. All right, I don't know why that didn't work, but it didn't, so that's okay. We will get it to work. All right, what I'd like you to do then is I would like you all to go out right now on the internet. Let me type it in here so you can see it, because otherwise it'll probably be too small for you to see. I'll make it pretty big. It should be big enough. I'd like you to go out to iexcloud.io/docs. Not docs. We're going to go to docs in just a minute. /cloud-login #/register. Now let me double check. Okay, let me double check and make sure that that's right. I believe it is. Yeah, that's what I wanted to show you. Okay. All right. So that should be it right there. I can even make it bigger than that. I don't know if it would be. There. Now, just so you know, iexcloud.io, it's a cloud-based API which is going to give us stock market information. All right. In order to do this, and I've already got an account, what you should do, if you look on the screen here, you want to click the down arrow and you want individual, because that will be free. So you want to do individual. I would suggest, yeah, your name. I would suggest using your Rankin email. And then come up with a password that is unique to you. All right. After you click all that, just click the I agree to terms, etc. They've never sent me an email. They do not ask you for any kind of credit card or other kinds of information. All right. There are places, just so you know this, there are places that will ask you for your credit card. And the reason, if you get one of those, the reason that they do that, Microsoft does it, for example, is you typically get X number of freebies per month. But if you exceed that number, they want to start charging you. All right. This shouldn't be an issue here. I don't remember what it is. I read the thing on it. It's either 1 million hits a day or 1 million hits a month. Either way, I don't think we're going to be anything we have to worry about. All right. So I've already got an account, so I'm just going to log in. All right. Two steps to continue. Please enter the 6-digit code sent to your email. Great. Okay. continue. Now, I don't know exactly where yours left off, but are you here? If you're not, just go to right here then. If you're not there, just go to iexcloud.io/console. All right, like this. That should get you to hear them. All right. Now, if it doesn't, that means you didn't finish the process of signing up for an account. You have to do that first. All right, so you had to go in and enter all that information. Are you there, Christopher?
Yeah, I'm at the email verification.
Okay. Yeah, it may send you an email that says you got to do this to verify that you want the account. I mean, I did this a year ago, and that's why I don't remember what the exact process was. I'm tired of going and trying to add a bunch of new accounts all the time because then I forget what's what and it just gets too confusing.
I don't know if I can remember that now, but mine's at choose a plan.
Here's a-
Oh, gotcha, thanks.
All right. Are you there now, Angie? Okay. Now, what we want to do is we want to go over to API tokens. Okay, so we can either go here or we should be able to go here. I'm going to go to the one up here that says API tokens. All right. Your screen should look similar to mine, except your publishable key that's in there will probably be different than mine. But you have a screen that looks like this. Okay, like I said, we're not in any hurry. Are you still waiting for an email?
No.
Well, just let me know once you're where I am here. In fact, I can even, if you look on the screen, I can mention these to you. I don't know if this will let me make this. Yeah, it does let me make it bigger. Good. If you look up on the screen, there'll be two tokens. One will say secret, one will say publishable. Does that make sense? All right. We should be okay working with the publishable one. If I was working for a company and I was doing some work for them and it was literally company work, not the work you're doing for an individual, I'd probably use the secret one. All right. Now, I'm not going to click secret where it says reveal secret because if I did, it would show that. And I don't care about you guys seeing it, but what I care about is then anybody who, because I get comments on videos from people I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So these are your tokens. Like I said, you get both. You get a free one and a not free one. This is kind of neat because if you look here, when it was just me and Keegan last year, we did it on the 24th. So you're a week ahead of where he was. All right. Again, what I'd like you to do is to grab this public key that starts with PK. Once you get it, I realize you might not have it yet, but either grab it there or click here to copy it. We are going to need this in our server.js file. All right, so I'm just going to copy it right now. And if you look on the screen here, I'll come right back to where we were. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my my server.js, server.js file. And right at the top, it doesn't matter where you do it, but I'm going to go right at the top. Try that again. And I'm going to put in a comment, and I'm going to paste that in. Again, I'm going to need that later on in my program. I can get rid of it later. That's not a big thing. Okay, but I'm just putting it in there. Does that make sense? Now, when we first run this, because this is the point I want us to get to today, if it works for everybody, we're going to hard code Facebook in there. Did you hear me? We're going to hard code Facebook. Tomorrow, we will go in and we will write the logic so we can put anybody in there. Does that make sense to you? Again, if your public key when you get to it is different than mine, it doesn't matter. If it's the same as mine, it doesn't matter. I'm going to guess it probably is different. It might be very similar, but it's probably different. All right. Did you guys get your emails yet for that? No? Okay, you did? Did you, Christopher? All right, so you are back over here now? Is that correct?
Put the key as a comment into the thing, just like you just did. So I'm caught up with you.
Okay, you are caught up. Okay, and you're still waiting there. Okay. How about this then? While we're looking, all right, and while you're waiting, I'm going to go down here to API docs. Okay, everybody see that? So we did the tokens. Now I'm going down to API docs. This, what we have right here, this is referred to as an application program interface. And we are now going into the documentation for that application program interface. And as it says here, IEX Cloud is a platform that makes financial data and services accessible to everyone. All right. When we want to use this, if you look up on the screen here, we're going to use this and we're going to make a request to that. And we're going to pass it in two things. What we want to request, which will be Facebook, and our public key. The reason that we needed a key was they don't want anybody willy-nilly doing things here. That's why they make you sign up for an account. All right. So as it says, it's built on REST, which stands for representational transfer. It's not that big a thing. It says it has resource-oriented URLs. This is a key thing. It returns JSON encoded responses. So the stuff that it's going to return to us later, well, hopefully we'll get to that point by the end of the class today or the end of the lecture today. All right. That's going to return to us a whole bunch of information about Facebook. And tomorrow we'll go in and we'll set it up so, like I said, we'll have that search bar working so we can put anything we want to put in there. Now, if Angie types in Angie, it's not going to find anything unless there happened to be a stock symbol that was Angie. And to be honest with you, if you tried that ANGI, the woman who does, maybe there is. I don't have any idea if she's a publicly traded company or not. All right. And it says, and it returns standard HTTP response codes. Now, I think I've talked about these, but I don't think we've really looked at these. So I'm showing you these right now. All I did was typed into Google, standard HTTP response codes. All right. Now, when you look on here, the good ones are anything that start with the 2, like in 200. I've never seen a 100 response code, just so you know. I've never seen one of those. It could be that you get something like that if you're making a request that really takes a long time and you're seeing what happens. But in an ideal world, the response code you're going to get back is 200. You see that on the screen? That means everything worked. Now, occasionally, you might want the 201 or the 202. That's no big thing. All right. Then when we start going down here, notice we get 300. Multiple choices, move permanently, found, see other, etc. Temporary redirect, partial. Well, that's some of that stuff you'll have control over. But if I'm going out to a URL and they've moved it, or they're in the process of moving it, I could possibly get a 307 saying that, hey, we're going to a new site. I'm going to temporarily redirect you to this site. Does that make sense? And you can check for these status codes. All right. If it's in the 400 range, you screwed up. What that means is you spelled the file name wrong, you're looking for something that you have no access to. Most people, at one time or another, you're used to getting a 404 error. Even if you think you never got one, most people have. All right. In fact, if I go out here, just so you see this, if I go out to github.com and I put in, for example, there's Angie's stuff, right? So I'm going to come here, but I'm not going to hit enter. Oh, well, it didn't have to. But I'm going to change this. I'm going to leave that 7 off of there. So I purposely have an error in there. And hit enter. There's the 404. All right. So anything in the 400 range means you were at fault. The other thing that you can get are things in the 500 range, which means those are things over which you have no control. That's on the server side. So 400 returns means that it's an error on the client side. 500 returns means that it's it's on the server side. So if you've ever gotten that message that says something like we're busy, try back later, or something like that, normally there's a problem with the server. It's not that you typed something in wrong. It's that right now it's not able to handle. And they're not going to typically give you a number like that either. You probably just get a message. Right? And that's the stuff that's in there. So just so you've seen those. So those are the HTTP status codes. All right. Now, did yours come back yet, Aaron?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. And it's funny. I think the only reason that I got this stuff that gave me that code and stuff, it's been a while since I've used this. And I think that's why. Okay. All right. Now, this is just one of the ones. Are we going to do any other ones? I don't know. But for example, one of the ones that I did last year is we went out to a weather API. And we wanted to set it up so that we would be able to type in any city. All right. And hit a button and it would show us the weather for that city. Does that make sense? All right. Okay. There is some information in here. I didn't think this was particularly good. All right. But there's some stuff in here about pricing and whatever. Here's again the error codes. I guess we could have done them from here, but those are all 400 and then the 1500 error code. Okay. And you may or may not have noticed, but if you look, this goes for quite a ways. There's a lot of documentation in here. Normally, if you're using an API where you're using an API someone else wrote, all right, if you got a question on how to do stuff, this is where to go. Okay. Now, what we want to be able to do, hopefully what I'm about to say makes sense. If it doesn't, say something, please. But what we want to be able to do is I want to be able to come out to iexcloud.io. I want to be able to give it FB for Facebook, and I want to be able to give it that key that's right there, and I want to request that it gives me the information back for Facebook. Does that make sense? That's what I want to have happen. All right. And in order to do that, there's different packages. We're going to load another package in just a second. But there's different packages that you can use for that. I'm going to show you. We're not going to deal this one, but the one that gets used quite a bit is Axios. Notice, promise-based HTTP client for the browser and Node.js. I'm not going to click that or anything else. We'll get into that later, but not right now. Okay? We're going to use one that's probably the simplest one. Why? Because I think that's the best way for you to learn it right now. And it's just called, oh, well, that's interesting. I'm not going to be able to use request anymore. I wrote this program. Oh my gosh. Okay. Request has been deprecated. Okay. Main suggested alternative is node fetch, which we already use. Request. This places request. go. Then I'm going to go over here and in my npm.js.com, I'm going to look at node fetch. All right, a lightweight module that brings fetch API to node.js. Okay, so I'm going to click on that because I want to see not just the install, because that's typically pretty easy, but see if they have any examples on how to use it. Notice there's a lot of material here. All right. Yeah, we'll have loading and configuring, importing it. It's not global. Hold on, fetch this. Okay. Rather than having me run through this right now and possibly having a problem, which I very well could, and I'm sorry, I should have looked at this beforehand. I ran this last summer and it worked. Okay, right now I don't know if it would work or not, to be honest with you, with the stuff that I have in there. I could take a look, but I've got to even look for it because unfortunately I made a whole bunch of copies of this and one of them works and the other ones all have problems with them. So if I go out here, I don't even know if it's on this machine. It might be on the other machine. But if I come in here, type in star node, star stock, star stock. That is not what I want. All right. So where I wanted to get to today, we're not quite there. I'm down to here, and I wanted to get to there. All right. So tomorrow what we'll do is I'll go back, find my program, rewrite it using node fetch. But ideally by the end of the day tomorrow, because it shouldn't really take that long, but we will put in all the rest of the code. There's not a ton more to put in, 40, 50 lines, I don't know. Then when we get done, we can do this now, because this will probably help our timing. So what I'd like you to do, because this will help for tomorrow, we're going to load one more package right now. When I say load it, I want you to go out to Heroku, Heroku.com, Heroku.com, and you can click either the sign up for free or the sign up button. I would suggest the big one here, the sign up for free, right there. You can see how you fill this out. All right. Again, I've got a free account already, so I'm not going to do that. So click all that stuff. When you get done, click the click free account button. You may have to wait like you just did for a confirmation email. Like I said, it's been a year. Sorry, I just don't remember. Once you've done all that, even if it takes a while, you can look at this right now. You don't have to do this yet, but just to show you quickly. And then what I want you to do is to open up another window in your browser and type in here Heroku CLI. It stands for Command Line Interface. So Heroku CLI and hit enter. Don't look at this stuff that comes back, but I think it's going to be the one here. They've changed this around too. So yeah, that'll be it. All right, so again, you'll come in here, you will type in Heroku CLI. I wouldn't do this until you've got your account set up, okay? But once your account is set up, Heroku CLI, the first actual link here that it says devcenter.heroku.com, you'll click there. And again, CLI stands for Command Line Interface. All right. see, it says it requires Git. If you don't already have it, you already have that, right? Everybody here has Git. So look on the screen, please. Once you get into this Heroku CLI, go down to where it's got the 64-bit installer and choose that. Again, that's going to put it in your downloads folder. Right mouse click on it. It doesn't matter where you open it. You can run it right there. It's going to have the command line interface tools that you'll use because we have to put in a couple Heroku commands. We'll have to tomorrow to get this to work. All right, so I've just saved the last 10 minutes or so that we'd have to do tomorrow. All right, which is to basically do this. All right. Did it send you an email, or were you able to do this? So you've all done this? You're still waiting for your email? Okay. All right, and once you have it installed, there's nothing magical or whatever that you're going to have to do. All right, but what we can all do before we finish up for the day is this. That is, let's go back to here. All right, let's go to a CD. Try that again. No, I don't know how, but doing that SSH thing, I lost where I was. So do we call it, what do we call it? Does anybody remember? Stock app node?
Yes.
Okay, so it doesn't know where I am right now. Okay, I'm just going to close this and reopen it. All right, so I'm going to reopen inside of right here. I'm just going to reopen another Git Bash window, okay? So I'm going to open a little Git Bash here, so I'm back here. Just so we can say we've got something done for today, let's put in the commands that you all know, and that is, we'll come in here and say git add dot and hit enter. Git commit -m initial commit and enter. All right. So again, I put in two commands. I first put in git add dot, and then I put in git commit -m initial commit. So if I look right now, if I click in git status, it should tell me that there's nothing to commit. You should have the same thing. All right. And then I'm going to say, I always forget the command, so let me go back to GitHub and find it. Right there. There. Git push -u origin. Now, for some reason, and I've talked to the first year people about this, I don't get this. I'm asking you the question right now. I'm asking this question to all of you. When you do your git push, do you put main there or do you put master?
It depends on how the repository was set up, because I've got.
Okay.
I mean, everything here just says main now, so I just kind of.
Right, but what I'm saying is, watch when I do this. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it in. Git push origin main. Doesn't work because look what mine says here. See how it says master? All right, but if I come back in and I change that to master and hit enter, it's going to spin and do all of its good stuff. So there it is. And if I now go back into GitHub, and I refresh, I now have everything in there. All right. Now, the only reason I'm telling you that is I would strongly recommend that when you leave here, and it's what I've always had people do, or asked you to do, but usually when people create GitHub accounts, they call it whatever the heck they want, which is really, in the end, is okay as long as I know what it is. But I had asked people in the past to, like James Wharton, one of the James from that you knew from last semester. I told him to call it J. Wharton Rankin. Okay? And he did. And I think you can actually change the name afterwards. It's somewhere buried in the settings thing. But the thing is, I tried to set up another account and I had nothing but problems. So I said, you know what, I'll set up another account and I'll use my charter address. And there still were tons of problems. I had to work with the people from GitHub for 2 weeks. I couldn't do anything. Nothing would work in GitHub. I could get everything to where it pushed. And then it didn't matter if I put in main, it didn't matter if I put in master. Nothing worked. And they had me sending them log files. And I mean, we went back and forth probably 10 times once a day for 2 business weeks. Then finally they said, try this command, this should fix it. And it did. But ever since then, I've had to do everything through master, not main. So just be real leery of that if you're going to have multiple GitHub repositories. The other thing too is, and you all know this, but if I go back to here and I go to repositories, I go back one more. I'll try it again. All right. Where is it? Let's see. I thought there was something on here to show me. Anybody know? To show all repositories?
With just like your username right there. Oh, mine's different.
Yeah. Create organization. Well, I'll just click on this one. It doesn't matter which one I click on. I'm wondering if I go back that nope. And this is, I don't want to follow him. This is one of my students. All right. Well, if I click follow, okay, that's not doing anything. The point is this, if you looked at mine, I probably have 60 repositories, and probably half of them are garbage. All right, and the reason I'm telling you that is not for me, but for you, and that is when you graduate or when you're ready to start putting stuff out there, look through your repositories. If you got junk in there, you're best off cleaning them out. Because unless you've got everything in there that's private, but like with you, Angie, probably what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go back in and see if you can change the status of everything at the end of the year to public, because you want to be able to let potential employers see your stuff. You know what I'm saying? I put it in as public because I want you to all be able to see what I'm doing if you have to. You know what I mean? So, all right. Wonder if I put this in. Let's see. Format. Show more. Need more. That was today's. See, this is all the stuff I've got. I don't think that some of these aren't mine. I mean, they were links to yours, but I don't save your stuff. I have no reason to do that. Okay. I don't know if this is, like I said, one of these works, so I don't know if this is the one or not, so I'm going to look. That ain't it. Darn it. It's going to try to show you a working version of it, so let me look for it. If I can find it, I'll share it with you so you can see what it looks like. Plus, I'll be able to see if that request thing still works or not.